The school run to the home run. Watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at. Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Turnout tonight, and what a night for it. Hey, loads of news. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys, and tonight it's a manhunt. Protests erupt outside a migrant hotel in Epping because an illegal immigrant and convicted child sex offender from Ethiopia was released by mistake today. You couldn't make this stuff up. We can now reveal that he got on a train to London
So he's basically where we are now. And it's the same day a Sudanese asylum seeker has been found guilty of murdering a hotel worker. We were all called racist, weren't we, for worrying about stuff like this?
Welcome here! Say it loud, say it clear! Refugees are welcome here!
Well, tonight, our worst fears have come true. I've got top cops on to tell us about the manhunt. We'll also have all of the updates, and we will go live to the protest outside the Epping migrant hotel. But as if today couldn't get any worse for the Prime Minister, he has been caught allegedly lying about the Chinese spy scandal, which would have very serious consequences. In a normal world, he would probably have to go over this, and...
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
Well, the other breaking news tonight is that despite Sadiq Khan denying any grooming gang cases in London, the Metropolitan Police have now said they're reviewing more than 9,000 of them. Did he not know about any of them? Remarkable, isn't it, really? On my panel tonight, we have got External Affairs Officer at the Free Speech Union making her debut on this show this evening. It's Connie Shaw. We've got Reform UK Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver. It's broadcasting royalty, Christo Fufas. And we've got former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. So get ready, Britain. Here we go. The manhunt for a foreign sex criminal. Next.
Patrick, thank you very much. The top stories: an asylum seeker who was accidentally released from prison where he was serving time for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl reportedly boarded a London-bound train this evening. Sir Keir Starmer says the mistaken release is totally unacceptable and the government is supporting police trying to track him down. A prison service officer was removed from duties after the convicted sex offender was accidentally released. Video of him is circulating. It is footage taken of him earlier today when he was last seen by a member of the public. 41-year-old Ethiopian national Kabatu had been staying at the Bell Hotel in Essex, with the sexual assault incident fueling weeks of protests at the site. A major manhunt is now underway. It's understood Hadush Kabatu was being released from prison as he was due to be immediately deported. He was released on the expectation that he'd be picked up by immigration enforcement. The Ministry of Justice says releases in error are incredibly rare, but we take them extremely seriously. They say we are urgently investigating how this incident occurred. An officer's also been removed from discharging duties while the investigation is ongoing. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp says it is catastrophic.
We certainly need a public inquiry into how this dangerous illegal immigrant, who is also a child sex offender, got released. We also need an urgent apology from Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood and Justice Secretary David Lammy, who have presided over this fiasco. It is an absolute disgrace that this incompetent Labour government has allowed this dangerous man out onto our streets, and this evening he is posing a risk to children around Essex.
Elsewhere, the Metropolitan Police is reviewing 9,000 cases in a huge grooming gangs probe after the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, previously said there were none. The announcement comes after an express investigation exposed several potential grooming gang cases in London that were overlooked. Sadiq Khan has repeatedly stated there were no reports or indications that London was blighted by the type of abuse that affected towns like Rochdale and Rotherham. The Met Police Commissioner said reports flagged by the Express would be among those re-investigated by the force. The reviews will be completed by April next year. A Sudanese asylum seeker has been found guilty of murdering a hotel worker on a railway station platform in Walsall. Deng Chalmagic stabbed Rhiannon White 23 times with a screwdriver on a platform at Bescot Stadium railway station in Walsall in October last year. She died 3 days later in hospital. Elsewhere today, Sir Keir Starmer urged allies to finish the job on frozen Russian assets by using them to strengthen Ukraine's defences as he sought to rally support for Kyiv. The Prime Minister also condemned Vladimir Putin's ludicrous demands, he said, for Ukrainian land as he convened a meeting of the so-called Coalition of the Willing today. He met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for a bilateral meeting in Number 10 ahead of that meeting. The talks come as Vladimir Putin steps up attacks on civilians, including a strike on a nursery full of children earlier this week. And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more from me in an hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Welcome along, everybody. What a day to have a live studio audience, to get the unfiltered reaction of the British public to what is one of the most shocking stories of our time. The manhunt is on. The most high-profile illegal migrant sex offender in Britain has been accidentally released from prison. Ethiopian Channel migrant Hadush Kabatu was in Britain for just a few days when he went on a sex assault spree targeting a young girl in school uniform. Now, it prompted huge protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping.
What do we want? What do we want? When do we want? Now! What do we want? When do we want? Now! What do we want? When do we want? Now! Send them back!
And if you remember, his case actually sparked huge protests right across the country. It actually helped to spark the Raise the Colours movement, didn't it? Where people basically said, enough is enough, we don't want Britain to be a dumping ground for foreign sex criminals anymore. And yet, here we are. He was meant to be sent to an immigration detention centre to be deported, but instead, they just accidentally let him go. Apparently, there was an error with his paperwork. It's a human error. Well, I'll tell you what, it's an absolute whopper, isn't it? We've all had bad days at the office, but good grief, this is awful. Just look at his face, OK? That is it. Everyone knows who he is. He's been leading the news agenda for 4 months. How on earth did that prison officer not know that that is the one bloke you do not release? Seriously, shocking stuff. But this is why people are angry and scared, isn't it? Who is protecting us? Who is protecting our women and girls? It's 9:08 on a Friday night in London right now, and we have unleashed an Ethiopian sex offender to get on a train from Essex to London. Women will be getting ready for a night out, won't they, right now? And they've got to look after this guy. I mean, good grief. I mean, we can't stop sex offenders breaking into Britain. We can't stop them sexually assaulting young girls, apparently. We can't even keep them in prison. We can't deport them. Britain is broken. And before I go to my audience, who I'm sure are chomping at the bit to try to get out of this, and my panel, I want to go to a local resident in Chelmsford, who is Emma Parr, who joins us down the line now. Emma, thank you very, very much. Now, we're going to play a video whilst you're talking, which appears to show this Ethiopian man having been released just after midday today in his prison sweats and carrying a bag of possessions, just prowling the streets. So you were sent this video. You're a local resident, are you? What are you feeling right now?
So I'm a local resident in Chelmsford, and I go out mainly on my lunch breaks and document things that are happening and speak to local businesses. Today I was actually in Chelmsford talking to the local sort of shops and things like that, find out what's been going on. And then because of my raising awareness, I was actually sent this video. So I went home and sort of looked and thought, is this him? I then sent it to a couple of groups and was like, guys, is this him? So then I released it on X, and it turns out it was him. So there's obviously been quite a lot of outrage in Chelmsford, and it also sort of coincides with the guys obviously releasing stuff on YouTube the past couple of weeks. So Chelmsford are sort of a lot more is being raised in Chelmsford at the moment, which is good.
Well, one of the other issues is that apparently after he was released by mistake, they made no attempt to inform the victims or their families that this guy was now back out and about in the area.
Yes, correct. So because of my raising awareness, I've had people reach out to me today. So I talked to a lot of taxi drivers, and they said that the police was actually going round to the taxi drivers asking them if they'd seen him, but they hadn't actually released it to the press, which was insane. And then you have our MP writing to the Home Office today talking about hospitals and parking at hospitals. She doesn't seem to be worried about this. I've actually been writing to her for weeks on end about these issues, and she just doesn't seem to be worried at all.
Yeah, so on the day of arguably the biggest cock-up in recent justice history in this country, you're saying that your local MP claims a bit more about hospital parking, which I admit is a big issue, but obviously probably shouldn't be front and centre of their minds today. Look, who do you hold responsible for this? We understand that a prison officer has been suspended at the moment. Do you think this problem goes a bit deeper than just one person?
I think everyone's turning blind eyes, to be honest. Everyone's turning blind eyed in Chelmsford. It wasn't for the guys actually doing the YouTubes recently. No one would really know. So I've been raising awareness, doing videos and things like that. But people were just turning blind eye to it constantly. So for the past 2 weeks, it's really been a lot of awareness has been raised. And it's sad that, you know, the victim actually had to find out through social media rather than being informed by the police. I do feel really sorry for the family. And I feel sorry for the people that have, you know, maybe seen him today and been too scared to call the police. You know, someone must have seen him today. You know, you saw in the video that the guys were actually pointing him towards the train station. Yeah. Someone must have known it was him. I mean, obviously someone did because they filmed it and sent it to me, and actually someone that comes on your show.
Yeah. Well, just on that, Emma, I just want to tease ahead to something that we've got, because Adam Brooks is outside the Bell Hotel in Epping where this all started in a way. So we're going to go to him in about the next 10 or 15 minutes there to see what the reaction of locals is like. You're right to say that we appear to have caught on camera the moment that he was pointed in the direction of the train station. As we understand it, he got on that train at about 12:41 p.m. today. Yeah. That train was headed to London. London's a city of about 9 million people, or at least those are the ones that we know about anyway. And he's here now, so you know he could just be anywhere. It's dark outside now. This guy is going to be prowling the streets this weekend, and people, you know, dare I say it, Emma, a bit like yourself, who were raising concerns about this months ago. You were being called racist, you're being called fascist, etc.
Yeah, I've had abuse today on my social media today about it from people that I went to school with. It's actually disgusting.
But tonight and today, your worst fears have come true, haven't they, I think?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been out raising awareness about this constantly. You know, I see children walking down the streets and, you know, I just say, please be careful, please be careful. I have women constantly inboxing me saying that they're concerned about their children. There's been reports of indecent exposure in Chelmsford, and now it's happened. But to be fair, I'm actually, in a way, I'm glad it's happened in Chelmsford, because we're finally on the map. And do you know what? That yellow on the map is turning turquoise.
Right, I see what you're saying. Well, look, Emma, thank you very, very much. It's Emma Parr, though, who's a local resident, who was one of the first people to be sent and then share that now kind of morbidly iconic video of the Ethiopian man just prowling the streets again, literally in prison sweatpants, carrying the prison bag. I mean, you could not make this up. Emma, all the best, all right? Take care.
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you've done. Thank you.
All right, take care, Emma. Thank you. Right, bye-bye. Now, this is obviously a huge story. I would like to see if anyone's got any points on this or anything they'd like to really raise on it. Feel free, put your hands up. We can get a microphone to you. But Jamie McIver's on the panel. You're obviously a local Reform councillor. You've been very prominent at these protests right at that hotel. How are you feeling today?
I'm shocked and disgusted. My heart is with the young girl and her family, because this trauma just gets worse and worse for them. The sentence was too lenient. The whole situation, the local politicians, frankly, have been a disgrace where I live. And actually, the fact that I walk through some of those council corridors on the way to meetings and I get, you know, looked at, oh, here comes the fascists, here comes the racists, because I make the point that we are having a wholesale importation of unvetted men and they're coming to a hotel near you. And we've had a young girl in our community be sexually assaulted, go through the justice system, and now this individual, this sick, vile individual, is walking the streets free, which, by the way, he may have been doing before Christmas anyway. It just happens to be some really awful human error. But this speaks far beyond human error. This is just a total incompetence that we have in this country, in the public sector, especially since this Labour government has been elected. Incompetence beyond belief.
Can I just raise something with you? Someone has just sent me. So bear in mind that this guy was mistakenly released from prison, OK? Now, when you are released from jail in the UK, apparently it is standard procedure for you to typically receive a travel warrant, an £89.52 cash payment, as well as your personal belongings. So there is a chance now that British taxpayers have paid for his escape, that we have basically paid in error for this guy to get on a train to London and do goodness knows what. Connie, I'm going to come to you on this, and I hope you don't find this, patronising, but as a woman, how do you feel about the fact that we are, as a country now, totally incapable of keeping especially women and girls safe?
It's a complete betrayal of women, and I can't... It's the anger that comes from the fact that these mums who are protesting the Pink Ladies, and they're being unfortunately being proved right and right time and time again. And what a fantastic advert it is to people who want to come to this country illegally. Not only will you be housed for free, and you get to see a dentist very quickly, and you get driving lessons, you get housed in very nice hotels that other people now can't go to. But not only that, you can assault young girls here, and even if you get sent to prison, you might then be accidentally released because we can't keep track of you, and get given 90 quid on the way out. It's such a mockery and embarrassing. I mean, it's quite hard to be proud to be British a lot of the time when things like this happen.
Well, I mean, it is an outright disgrace. Before we go to Christys, but Bill, I'll bring you in. I mean, David Lammy has been on, as has Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer says that this is totally unacceptable. I'm appalled that this has happened and it's being investigated. The police are working urgently to track him down. This man must be caught and deported for his crimes. A slight downside to that, of course, is this has happened on Keir Starmer's watch. The other side is I'm old enough to remember when a procession of different Labour politicians signed petitions to keep foreign criminals in Britain and off deportation flights. So who do you hold responsible for this?
We need to get to the bottom of that. This is shocking and unacceptable. The police need to be urgently, as I'm sure they are, finding this guy and getting him back into prison. My understanding was that he was going to be transferred to be deported, which is exactly what should happen. But there needs to be a real investigation. And what really troubles me about this case is the guy is notorious. Yeah. He's been on the front page of newspapers for 3-4 months. And the idea that his form came across someone's desk and it didn't occur to them, hold on, this guy shouldn't be released. I think we really need to get to the bottom of that. And I think we need to get to grips with the management of the prison service. And I say that with some experience. I was the former MP for Harlow. Chelmsford Nick was my local Nick. And I remember going there in about 2008 or 2009 because I'd had a number of complaints about the operation of the prison. Spent half a day there, first meeting with the prison governor, and I was making complaints, and he said, what do you expect me to do? The Prison Officers Association run this, Nick. And it beggared belief. And yes, there are arguments about resources, and the prison service over a decade and a half has been cut significantly, but I think there are management questions within the organisation that need to be addressed, and we need to find out what happened, how it happened, and deal with it.
Well, very shortly, I'm going to have a former police officer and counter-terrorism expert on for us so we can find out what exactly is this manhunt going to be like, what procedures will be in place now, how are they going to be going about it, and realistically how quickly, hopefully, we can get this guy not just banged up, but frankly out of Britain. But Christy, I mean, this story would normally be something reserved for a kind of brass eye comedy sketch. But we now live in Fawlty Towers. Yeah.
I mean, this is a sitcom. Who, ladies and gentlemen, could have possibly predicted something like this would happen under David Lammy's tenure as Justice Secretary? Who could have possibly known? Someone's got to resign. If this was the Conservatives, then, or any other party, Labour would be baying for blood. Yeah. So someone has got to resign over this. It's the worst possible person. I mean, you couldn't... everyone keeps saying you couldn't make it up. You couldn't actually write this any better, because it's the worst possible person that could have been released accidentally. How on earth the officers involved didn't recognise him or know that this person was the worst possible person. And then the footage that we've got of him was taken by a member of the public. There he is, pootling along outside Pret a Manger. I mean, he was probably be in there getting a sandwich before he gets on the train. It is absolutely shocking. It is completely unbelievable. Thank goodness, though, everyone, the police are on it. So I'm gonna actually try and assist with the investigation now. I've heard he misgendered someone.
Right.
I've heard he's misgendered someone. Quickly, everyone now.
Well, you're right to joke about that, because on a serious note, I was just in Epping at the start of the protest. There are so many police officers there. If they were taking a manhunt seriously, every single police officer would be looking for the man, not staring at worried locals who are protesting peacefully.
That's a good point. It's a good point. And on that note, when I was on my way into the studio today, I'll be honest with you, I was expecting to step outside my front door, hear police helicopters in the air, you know, be seeing sirens around the place, be making it look as though we've got one of the most dangerous sex offenders in Britain at the moment being hunted for. This guy was in Britain for 4 days and sexually assaulted several people, including a schoolgirl. It is imperative again. Didn't see anything.
A part of it is reassurance. Even if that helicopter is not going to hasn't got a massive chance of finding him, you want to be reassuring the public at the moment. I say the public, all the far right people who are worried about this, of course, because that's what we all are, isn't it?
We're going to go, and I just want to emphasise as well. There was talk today about someone having to resign over this. Do people in this room feel as though someone like David Lammy needs to resign over this? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, he's not the only one, right? Because Sadiq Khan was saying that he didn't really think there were many grooming gangs in London. Today, 9,000 grooming gang investigations are being opened. So you've got that, haven't you? Then, of course, as well, you've got the idea that Sir Keir Starmer is now accused of lying in the House of Commons about the China spy scandal. Again, normally, there will be some procedure. Have you ever known a worse day for any government ever, where potentially the acting Deputy Prime Minister, the Prime Minister and the Mayor of London, there are all legitimate cases for them to go. But when we come back, we're going to be talking to a top cop, former top cop, about how on earth we can get this Ethiopian sex offender nicked quickly. Stay tuned.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GBNews, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world.
but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys. Now, I've got a live studio audience in, and frankly, it's a great night for it because I can't wait to hear what the real British people think about this absolute travesty. If you are just joining us, there is a manhunt underway for an Ethiopian convicted child sex offender, actually, who has been accidentally released from prison. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. But, of course, this all started, didn't it, at the Bell Hotel in Epping. We were protesting outside the Bell Hotel. They then kind of snowballed to various other locations. And it was all because of this guy. Well, Adam Brooks joins us now, regular here on GB News, a local resident as well as an activist and a businessman. And he's there for us. Adam, thank you. Could you just explain to us what's been going on at that hotel and what the scene is like and what the mood is like, please?
Look, I got here about 6:45, and it built up to about 150, maybe 200 people chanting and very angry. I mean, I'm angry. The local community is angry that this man, a danger to society, the judge even said that when sentencing him, is a big, strong man, and now he was on the loose, we believe, in London amongst women and children. I mean, this is a farce, Patrick, and it just highlights how far gone this country has gone under the Labour government at the moment. You just could not make this up. But the people of Epping are really angry, and I would think on Sunday there will be another protest about the same sort of size, and people letting their feelings known.
What were people saying to you there then? And was there a fair-sized police presence there?
Yes, look, to be fair, it's very cold and it's very windy. And more police came about half an hour ago, and that's when people started. There was a lot of women here, Patrick, and a lot of, it's cold, and people have now just sort of gone off. But look, one thing I need to say is that people are not speaking about the family enough in this incident. You've got to remember that a young girl was sexually assaulted by this man. I spoke to the father today, and they are so upset and they're so angry, and they learned about this manhunt through people like me and on social media and in the Sun newspaper. That is not on. How were they not told that this man was on the loose? I just cannot get my head around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute car crash from start to finish, isn't it, really? I mean, it's as if the local area already said that they didn't want this hotel there because they were told they thought it could pose a risk. It then did pose a risk because this guy was there and committed the kind of heinous crimes that he did. And then, of course, he's then released by mistake back out into the local area, and no one's told about it. I mean, one person on my panel was making the point that we believe he's in London, but I mean, the train was bound for London, but there's loads of different train stops there. I mean, frankly, he could be anywhere, couldn't he?
He could be, and look, that's why I feel for the family. Who's to say he hasn't come back to Epping, for some memories or some stupid reason? Let's remember that this crime is not the only crime that has come from this hotel. We've had serious arson, we've had assaults, we've had flashing, shoplifting, and this, a sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl. And it is our government that is actively putting us in harm's way and our children in harm's way.
Yeah.
And we're paying for that, Patrick, via our taxes. This has to stop. And a national emergency has to be declared. And the government and these MPs need to realise just how angry the people on the streets are. Because I think one more incident and we could see big trouble on the streets of Britain.
Well, it's a flashpoint, definitely. And again, I will just say that for many people, this is like the worst case scenario. I mean, it beggars belief. I feel like I'm going to wake up in a minute and this will have all been some kind of fever dream. But no, it's actually happening. Adam, thank you very much for reporting for us from the scene. All the best. Take care. It's Adam Brooks there, everybody. Right. I want to remind you, actually, of some of the things that the judge actually said when he sentenced this guy. And I think there was some of this that for me, I was questioning at the time. So if you are up for multiple counts of sexual assault, even including one involving a schoolgirl, I would have thought that you would naturally be sentenced to longer than 12 months in prison. However, he was not. He got 12 months in prison. He was due to be out potentially by Christmas. I mean, again, the judge confirming here that he was a danger, he posed a danger. Connie, my other panellist here, rightly said that actually after his sentencing, he said he wanted to be deported. Anyway, well, and now he's absconded. But on this manhunt, let's go to former police officer and counter-terrorism expert Paul Birch, who joins us down the line. Paul, thank you very much. Right, so what will the police be doing right now then? How will they be going about finding this guy?
Well, as Adam said previously, he could have got off the train anywhere between Chelmsford and London. That line goes into Liverpool Street, I believe. So Essex police on their own almost certainly won't be able to deal with this on their own. The forces, the resources of the Met will be brought to bear, and they have most of their specialist departments have CCTV teams, which means they trawl CCTV looking for suspects. So when you see a CCTV played, on the news when someone's been convicted, it will be because initially lots of officers went out into the streets following the route of the offender and gathering all the CCTV. So they will be doing that in Essex, I would imagine, at every station between Chelmsford and Liverpool Street, and the Met's resources will be brought to bear for London and also to assist the Essex Constabulary. Yes, we can discuss whether he's doubled back and gone to Epping, or he's got off at some country town in between Chelmsford and Liverpool Street. I would imagine, I could be wrong, but I would imagine he will have gone into London to vanish, essentially, in that teeming multicultural city.
Yeah, well, quite. Can I just ask you, when you're released from prison, you are given your possessions back, aren't you? Which potentially would include a mobile phone, is that right?
Yes, everything you hand over when you go into prison, you get when you come back. So whatever he went to prison with, as you saw on the footage that your viewer sent to you, he had a big bag full of his possessions, including the War Cry magazine. So he would have had a mobile. I would assume he would have a mobile phone. If he had one when he went in, he'll certainly have one when he comes out. And as you were saying earlier, he will be given money for a ticket and all that sort of thing. So
he will have done. Sorry, because one of my panel wants to ask you a question in a second, but I want to drill down on that. Yeah. So as far as you're aware, well, it was an educated guess, you think we will have actually given him money for a train ticket?
Essentially, he will be given money somewhere that he wouldn't have had to have spent on a train.
So we've paid for this. We've paid for this from start to finish. Yeah.
We pay for everything, don't we?
Yeah. Great. Nice, isn't it, that? Are you all happy? You're all paying for this? Everyone? You've paid for this? No, I mean, it's just absolutely disgraceful, isn't it? So let's assume he's gone into London now. It's going to be CCTV, police. Will the Met will be involved, will they? The police forces will... Yeah, of course. Who's going to be involved in this search?
Probably, in an indirect way, just about every PC in the Met. In that, whenever a response team, they're the people who answer the 999 calls, whenever they come on duty, the first thing they do is have a briefing before they go out about current people wanted, current people on the run in London, issues to be aware of, counter-terrorist threats, that sort of thing. So almost certainly, I would imagine that this bloke's mugshot will be on every briefing in every area of London before the night duty team goes out. And in my day, they would be going out about 10 o'clock. So they'd already be there now getting their briefing. Excuse me. So you'll get the response teams will be looking for him. People who probably have other roles within the police will be, I would imagine, out looking for him because it's so high profile. And it doesn't matter whether there are people who are more dangerous than this individual on the run in London. The fact is that this is nationally significant and a huge embarrassment. So I would imagine most of the resources of the entire force will be looking into rounding this person up, gathering him up.
So, do you think there's any chance he's going to get caught tonight?
Yeah, there is a chance. The fact that one of the first things they would look at is CCTV. They know what train he took, so they'll look at every CCTV camera at every station, and when he gets off, at which station he got off, they will certainly see it. And then, assuming, say, for example, he gets off at Liverpool Street, they will know what train that is, considering the one he got on, or be pretty certain. And then they will be looking at all through the CCTV. It will be very, very labour intensive to look through all the CCTV.
Okay.
And there is a chance they could catch him tonight, but as with the man who escaped prison relatively recently, they found him a couple of days later on the Canal towpath.
Yes, the Iranian
riding a
spy.
bike.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
That was a fantastic day again in British history. Well done.
Yes,
all right.
It was.
Well, look, thank you very much. Thank you for your expertise. It was a pleasure to talk to you, Paul. It's Paul Birch there, who is a former police officer and counter-terrorism expert, shedding some light on what we can expect from this investigation. Does anyone in this room have faith that he's going to be caught tonight? No. You putting your hand up, sir. What do you want the microphone? Very quickly, go on, and then we'll get going. Yep, go on. What would you like to say, sir?
Actually, it's to Bill. Bill, when Labour came in, they said everything was going to be different, and yet we're seeing everything now is worse than it ever was before. And good grief, what is going on?
We're going to park that. We'll let Bill answer the other side of the break, if that's all right, because we've got to shoot off now. And remarkably, despite all of the things that are going on, I still have to inform you about the Great British Giveaway, because we couldn't let you get going without you knowing about how you can win a motorhome and 30 grand in cash. Here's how.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather expected this weekend in the UK, you'll find some sunshine in Italy, but plenty of blustery showers about as well. And some fairly wet weather pushing through parts of Portugal, particularly to the north of Lisbon, into much of Spain, especially to the north. And France will be particularly wet with thundery rain in places. Italy, a few showers, but gusty wind as well. Plenty of fine weather for Greece, and it stays that way through the weekend and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening, this is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, there's quite a chill in the air at the moment, and there's more cold weather to come as we go into the weekend. Also, a few showers pushing through. That's because we have a cold Arctic maritime air mass piling in from the north. Now, with that, there's also quite a bit of cloud and rain across the eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England at the moment. A lot of that is going to push its way southwards and eventually start to clear away towards the east into the North Sea as we go through the night. Elsewhere, some drier, at times clearer weather, but like I said, quite a few showers piling down on that northerly wind. Where we get some clear skies and in shelter from the brisk wind across parts of Scotland, we could see temperatures dipping close to, perhaps even a little bit below freezing. Elsewhere, because of the brisk winds, temperatures not dropping too low, but nonetheless a cold start to the day for many tomorrow. Plenty of showers piling in across northern parts of Scotland. When these reach higher ground, a good chance that we're going to see some sleet and snow over the peaks in particular. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, it's a showery start to the day. Also showers across parts of Wales and southwest England. Across more central parts of England, it's largely dry, some early sunshine as well. Across eastern parts, though, a bit cloudier, and it could be a bit damp first thing too. The rain, though, will clear away towards the east, and then we end up in, well, a bit of a showery setup in areas exposed to that northerly wind. So northern Scotland, Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and southwest England. Plenty of showers here, and they could still be wintry over the high ground of Scotland. Elsewhere, drier, sunnier, but feeling cold, especially in the wind. Could see gales in some exposed eastern coastal parts. Then a cold night as we go through into Sunday, so a bit of frost for some. And then it gets off to a fine start on Sunday, but we are going to see cloud pushing in from the northwest, and it's going to turn wet and blustery as well. Now into next week, it's looking quite mixed, so some rain at times, but also some dry weather, and temperatures rising eventually as we go towards the end of the week. Bye-bye.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody, to my live studio audience. Now, I have got a clip. It's a big breaking news. Obviously, this Ethiopian sex criminal is on the loose. David Lammy. Don't worry, everyone. David Lammy is on the case, OK? David Lammy, like Poirot, all right? He's going to be all over this. And we can hear from David Lammy now, the Deputy Prime Minister and, of course, the Justice Secretary as well. He's done us a video on this, on the Ethiopian sex offender currently on the loose. Come on then, Mr. Lammy, let's hear it.
Well, I'm appalled and livid on behalf of the public that Kabatu is at large. He should be deported back to Ethiopia after the sexual assaults that he's committed. And of course, there is now a manhunt with Essex Police, the Metropolitan Police and British Transport Police looking for him. We know that he boarded a train and is at large in London. And of course I've asked for a full investigation into what's happened, and an officer has been suspended.
From your understanding now, what actually happened for this to come about?
Well, there will be a full investigation. He should not have been released in this way. An officer has been suspended as a result of that, pending that investigation, and there is now cooperation between Essex Police, the Metropolitan Police and the British Transport Police, because we know that he boarded a train around lunchtime and headed into London. Let's be clear, Kabatu committed a nasty sexual assault involving a young child and a woman. And for those reasons, this, of course, is very serious. Anyone who has any information about his whereabouts should call 999. So we need to arrest him, and we need to get him out the country where he should be. I'm livid. I'm livid on behalf of the public that this individual who committed a sexual assault on a young minor and a woman is at large tonight.
And what you, as the Justice Secretary who's now responsible for this department, for this system that's had a serious failure, what are you going to do about it next?
As you would expect, I spoke to the Home Secretary today. I have launched an investigation into what has happened in the prison service to allow this to come about. But the important thing is that we protect the public. The important thing is that the police are able to do their work and find this individual. And the important thing is, if anyone is watching and knows where he is, that they call 999 and ensure, and indeed that he gives himself up and returns to the custody that he should be in.
Deputy Prime Minister, Justice Secretary David Lammy there, just confirming some things for us. British Transport Police, Essex Police and the Met Police are all involved in this now. An officer has been suspended as a result. He says he should be deported, which is interesting because David Lammy over the years has been a prominent member of the Refugees Welcome Brigade. He's also called for reparations for various countries, so maybe he could send some reparations along with our Ethiopian friends to give to them as well. Also has signed some anti-deportation letters in the past. So, OK, there you go. We've got a couple of people in the audience who've got microphones. If it's all right, sir, if I could ask you to react to what you've just heard there from David Lammy. Could you stand up for me, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
First of all, you can't believe a word out of him. You can't believe a word he says. We shouldn't be here in the first place. We shouldn't. And I can't for the life of me understand what this softly approaches to people who come over here, break the law, but we're the victims. We're the racists. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. I really don't get this softly approach where he's concerned. I don't get this softly approach where we are the people that are wrong, and yet they're not sorting out these people are doing this. We should not be here, and he should not have let that happen in the first place. That's my say.
Thank you very much. Can you come back? I'll formulate Minister Bill Rattle.
I think when David Lammy says that he is livid about what's happened, he's absolutely speaking the truth. This is a massive cock-up that has taken place. The reality, and you don't want to hear this, the reality is this kind of mistake could have happened under any government, but I recognise it's happened under a Labour government. As quickly as possible, he needs to be apprehended. And, you know, I hear the lack of belief about police action. They're already, as has been told, combing the CCTV. I think he's likely to be apprehended within hours, at most a couple of days. And then he will be, as he should be, deported.
Well, but this is it. Why wasn't he just deported?
Well, I was going to say, the only thing that David Lammy's probably livid about is the fact that he's now probably going to be deported. That's probably the only thing David Lammy's actually livid about, because this is... This is a man that has, I believe, signed many, many campaigns to stop the deportation of foreign criminals. This is a man that has propped up a party that has done everything possible to frustrate attempts to control our borders, including getting into government and scrapping the Rwanda plan, which had its flaws, we know that, but they didn't even let it try. This man could have been deported to Rwanda within days of coming to Britain. Instead, he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl in Epping High Street. But Patrick, what is worse about all of this is I watched David Lammy. I'm proud to be British. I love my country. How is that man Deputy Prime Minister of our great country? And even worse, I was watching that video and reminded me of a video he did in his constituency when he moaned about how there's no police and there was, I think, 2 or 3 police officers behind him. I was just waiting for this vile criminal to just wander past him with his police carrier bag and David Lammy say, where is he? I'm filled with no confidence.
It's a mystery as to where this guy is.
And then he'll probably just appear. This is how this government is the most incompetent government I have ever known, and I've studied politics. This is the worst government we've ever had.
Does anyone feel reassured after seeing any one of you? Do you know what this government have? I'm going to call it the Poodas touch, because everything they touch turns to poo. I mean, it does. They can't do anything right. And, you know, the gentleman at the back earlier said that, you know, we were promised change. We were promised that this was going to be different. We were promised that it was going to be this entire new regime. And actually, governments having majorities, usually, whether you agree with that government or not, usually it's quite a good thing. At least they can make decisions. Every single one of their decisions has been absolutely dreadful, or they've screwed it up completely. Now, I just want to, because we haven't done this yet, and if you'll indulge me a second, I just want to remind you of what this guy actually did. The court heard at the time, so he arrived in the UK on a small boat days before these incidents in July. And he was living in the Bell Hotel. Previously, the court was told how he told two teenagers he wanted to have a baby with each of them and attempted to kiss them before going on to put his hand on one of the girl's thighs and stroke her hair. The girl later told police she froze. She told him, "I'm 14. He was then found guilty of putting his hand on a woman's thigh and trying to kiss her when she tried to intervene when she saw him talking to this 14-year-old girl again. The judge, as you rightly pointed out, said he had a significant risk of reoffending. I mean, the only thing we can learn from this case, finding out about this guy and how he's such a wrong 'un with women, is at least we now know why there are no women and children on the boats with him, because they're perhaps the wise ones thinking, well, we're not going to get in a boat.
Well, there you go. Connie, your views on what we just heard from David Lammy there as well.
I don't doubt that he's livid for the family of this poor girl. I mean, it would be unhuman for him not to be. However, I think a lot of this anger that he's expressing is probably about the fact that this is following one of the most shameful weeks in this government's history, specifically about the safety of women and girls. We've had the absolute disaster that has been the non-national inquiry that they're saying that they're doing, but trying to expand and drag out. And now this has happened. So Labour know that they are at just a moral crisis when you can't even keep women and children safe and you can't do anything about it in a way that at least convinces the public that you actually want to do it. We all know they don't want to do the national inquiry. So that's why it's very hard to believe David Lammy when he says, I'm livid about this, because we know that the safety of women and girls, particularly when it's around these sensitive issues about cultural differences, is not something that they want to deal with.
And
they want to look away.
And they were so quick, weren't they, to call everyone far right who was worried. They were so quick.
Yeah, just on that, and Bill, I'll put this to you because Connie's kind of widened it out there, and rightly so. Breaking just about, well, I don't know, an hour before I came on air, the Metropolitan Police is going to reopen 9,000 cases in a major London grooming gangs probe. And Sadiq Khan is on record.
Right, and that's because of this Labour government's actions. Because hold on, you might poo-poo it, but they've invested, they've changed the policies around grooming gangs, and they've insisted that the police reopen cases.
Sadiq Khan claimed he didn't know what
hold on. Yvette Cooper, when she was Home Secretary several months ago, stood up in the House of Commons and highlighted the fact that there was this increased focus that was going to reopen cases. That is what's happened.
He didn't know what he was being asked about. He didn't know what a grooming gang was when he was asked. How can you possibly
I'm talking about why the Met are now reopening thousands of cases. Hold on. Why the Met is reopening thousands of cases? Because this government has insisted that they do that along with other police forces in the country.
No, that can't possibly be true because the police are operationally independent of politicians. It can't possibly be that Keir Starmer has taken action.
We changed the guidelines.
You change your mind and lines like the weather. Let's call it what it is. Sadiq Khan.
Let's deal with the facts.
Sadiq Khan made this a race issue, just like the government made it a race issue about the grooming gangs. The truth of the matter is they've tried to silence people. They've tried to speak up about some basic facts. That's what's happened.
Simply not true.
No one buys that lie.
Hold on. Let's deal with the inquiry this week. This has become a toxic issue, and yes, 4 women have resigned. Victims have resigned from the panel, and I regret that. 5 others...
Because your government ministers are making it about themselves.
Stop interrupting me. You've had a say. Let me have a say. 5 others have said they will resign if Jess Phillips is forced to resign. Right? This has become a toxic issue. The government needs to get on, appoint a chair, and then have the inquiry.
OK, right. A lively hour that has whizzed by. There is still a manhunt on. We are yet to catch this Ethiopian sex criminal who is apparently, we've just learned from the Deputy Prime Minister, currently on the streets of London. I will have all of the updates for you when I come back.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, this is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, there's quite a chill in the air at the moment and there's more cold weather to come as we go into the weekend. Also a few showers pushing through. That's because we have a cold Arctic maritime air mass piling in from the north. Now, with that, there's also quite a bit of cloud and rain across the eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England at the moment. A lot of that is going to push its way southwards and eventually start to clear away towards the east into the North Sea as we go through the night. Elsewhere, some drier, at times clearer weather, but like I said, quite a few showers piling down on that northerly wind. Where we get some clear skies and in shelter from the brisk wind across parts of Scotland, we could see temperatures dipping close to, perhaps even a little bit below freezing. Elsewhere, because of the brisk winds, temperatures not dropping too low, but nonetheless a cold start to the day for many tomorrow. Plenty of showers piling in across northern parts of Scotland. When these reach higher ground, good chance that we're going to see some sleet and snow over the peaks in particular. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, it's a showery start to the day. Also showers across parts of Wales and southwest England. Across more central parts of England, it's largely dry, some early sunshine as well. Across eastern parts, though, a bit cloudier and it could be a bit damp first thing too. The rain, though, will clear away towards the east, and then we end up in, well, a bit of a showery setup in areas exposed to that northerly wind. So northern Scotland, Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and southwest England. Plenty of showers here, and they could still be wintry over the high ground of Scotland. Elsewhere, drier, sunnier, but feeling cold, especially in the wind. Could see gales in some exposed eastern coastal parts. Then a cold night as we go through into Sunday, so a bit of frost for some. And then it gets off to a fine start on Sunday, but we are going to see cloud pushing in from the northwest, and it's going to turn wet and blustery as well. Now into next week, it's looking quite mixed, so some rain at times, but also some dry weather and temperatures rising eventually as we go towards the end of the week. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you very, very much, everyone. We have got an absolutely top turnout tonight, and what a night to get the views of the great British public. It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys, and there is a manhunt on.
I'm livid. I'm livid on behalf of the public that this individual who committed a sexual assault on a young minor and a woman is at large tonight.
Well, protests have erupted outside a migrant hotel in Epping. And that's because of that video that you were just watching there, where an illegal migrant, actually a convicted child sex offender from Ethiopia, was released by mistake. Now, we can reveal that according to the Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Minister David Lammy, he has now made it to London. So he got on a train and came to London. And if I can just show you something, if you have a look at that face as well. This is the same day that a Sudanese man has been found guilty of murdering a young mum of one. He stabbed her in the neck 23 times with a screwdriver. He was staying at an asylum hotel. And of course, though, if you called out this stuff or said you were worried about it, you were called a racist by this lot.
Refugees are welcome here!
Tonight, our worst fears have come true, haven't they? And over the course of this hour, we're going to be hearing from top cops about how that manhunt is going. We're also going to be getting you any updates as we get them. We've just had David Lammy in the last hour. I mean, I don't know, do people feel as though the Prime Minister should be coming out and talking about this? People think, yeah, I think maybe the Home Secretary as well. I think we should be getting maybe Mark Rowley, of course, the head of the Metropolitan Police. Can I just show you the way that the front pages have treated this? So I've got one in my hand here. It's the Sun's front page. I'm going to hold that up to the camera. There you go. And they have gone for the headline, one in, one out by mistake. There you go. And that just sums it up. Jailed hotel migrant who sexually assaulted a girl of 14 who's set to be deported, but an astonishing blunder, he is free to roam the streets. So the press are getting stuck right in, and this is not the only issue for the Prime Minister, because he has been accused of lying about the Chinese spy scandal in Parliament, which should be really a resigning matter. Plus,
so are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
that's the Mayor of London, who is also facing calls to quit tonight. He said that he didn't really know anything about grooming gangs in London, and today the Metropolitan Police announced they're reviewing 9,000 London-based grooming gang cases. What an absolute shocker of a day. On my panel tonight, we've got the External Affairs Officer at the Free Speech Union, Connie Shaw. We are joined by Reform UK Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver. We've got broadcasting royalty, Christo Foufas. And former Labour Minister, Bill Rammell. There we go. So, get ready, Britain. Here we go. The manhunt is on. I'll give you the latest next.
Patrick, thank you. Yes, as you have been hearing, an asylum seeker who was accidentally released from prison where he was serving time for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl boarded a train to London earlier today. Sir Keir Starmer says the mistaken release is totally unacceptable. He says the government is supporting police trying to track him down. A prison service officer was removed from duties after the convicted sex offender was accidentally released. Video of Kabatu is circulating. It's footage taken of him earlier today when he was last last seen by a member of the public. 41-year-old Ethiopian national Kabatu had been staying at the Bell Hotel in Essex, with the sexual assault incident fueling weeks of protests at the site. A major manhunt is underway. It's understood Hadush Kabatu was being released from prison as he was due to be immediately deported. He was released on the expectation he'd be picked up by immigration enforcement. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy says he's livid on behalf of the public as he urged Kabatu to give himself up.
Well, I'm appalled and livid on behalf of the public that Kabatu is at large. He should be deported back to Ethiopia after the sexual assaults that he's committed. And of course, there is now a manhunt with Essex Police, the Metropolitan Police and British Transport Police looking for him. We know that he boarded a train and is at large in London. And of course, I've asked for a full investigation into what's happened, and an officer has been suspended.
In other news, the Metropolitan Police is reviewing 9,000 cases in a huge grooming gangs probe after the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, previously said there were none. The announcement comes after an express investigation exposed several potential grooming gang cases in London that were overlooked. Sadiq Khan has repeatedly stated there were no reports or indications that London was blighted by the type of abuse that affected towns like Rochdale and Rotherham. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner said reports flagged by the Express would be among those re-investigated by the force. The reviews will be completed by April next year. And a Sudanese asylum seeker has been found guilty of murdering a hotel worker on a train station platform in Walsall. Deng Chol Majek stabbed Rhiannon White 23 times with a screwdriver at the Bescot Stadium train station last October. She died 3 days later in hospital. Rhiannon's sister spoke outside of court today.
Throughout this trial, we have been given no reason as to why he chose Rhiannon, no accountability for his actions, and no remorse. She fought for her life and to save herself from this sick, twisted, and cowardly human who showed no regard for Rhiannon or human life.
Those are the latest headlines. For now, it's over to Patrick.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you to everyone who's made the journey to be here tonight in this studio. And gosh, what a night for it. This is the video that shames this government. An illegal migrant, a convicted child sex offender, a danger to us all, prowling the streets, having been released by mistake. This Ethiopian illegal was in Britain for just a few days when he went on a sex crime spree. Here's what we know so far. So Hadush Kabatu was sentenced to just 12 months in prison for sexually assaulting a woman and a 14-year-old schoolgirl. He was sent to HMP Chelmsford, and he was due to be moved to an immigration detention centre set for deportation. Now, he was released because of a mix-up with his paperwork. A prison officer has now been suspended. His victims and their families were not told that he'd been released. He was then spotted, as you've just seen, walking around the streets at around midday today, wearing his prison tracksuit and carrying a plastic bag full of his possessions. The concern now is what's in that bag, because if those are the possessions that he handed over to police when he went into prison, that will include a mobile phone. Also, when you are released, you are given an amount of money, which we believe is somewhere in the region of £85. That could well have bought his train ticket to London. We now know he is in London because in the last few minutes, we have had a statement from the Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Minister David Lammy confirming that. Look, this is really as bad as it gets. I mean, this is obviously no laughing matter, but I want to play you something now from a very well-known comedy show, because the point is that we used to think this level of sheer incompetence was beyond parody.
Last month, the notorious paedophile Sidney Cook was blasted into space to spend the rest of his life aboard a one-man prison vessel, posing no further threat to children on Earth. But it was revealed that an 8-year-old boy was also placed on board by mistake and is now trapped alone in space with the monster. A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
You couldn't make it up, could you? It's been done. It's a comedy sketch. We're living in a really morbid comedy sketch. And yet here we are. You know, I was originally going to talk about this at 10 p.m. I'd written this before this guy got released by mistake. A Sudanese Channel migrant who stabbed a migrant hotel worker to death at a railway station. He stabbed her 23 times with a screwdriver. She was a mother of one. He was then filmed dancing in the street after he killed her. Testimony from one of the hotel staff said this. Some of the migrants made threats to kill, to blow up the hotel, that they had a bomb in their bag, and a few of them followed hotel staff home on their bus journeys. They called people like you racist for protesting about stuff like this in the streets, didn't they? There they are, just calling everyone Nazis. Oh, you're a Nazi for caring about stuff like this. Of course, this government said they were getting tough.
For the very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order.
And now we've got an Ethiopian paedophile on the run, a young mum is dead, a message sent to women and girls and the wider public and to the illegals, etc., is, of course, basically, we cannot protect anyone. Right, let's get the views of my audience and also my panel. Yeah, I mean, the guy's still at large. We're hoping to speak to a couple of police officers later on and maybe even quite a big guest when it comes to a top politician, which we're hoping to get lined up in just a second. But yeah, I mean, Christys, this is pretty much as bad as it gets for the government, isn't it?
And I just don't understand, right, how... Well, firstly, there's so much not to understand about this. Where are the refugees welcome protests now? Do you think any of them have turned up to counter-protest outside the Bell Hotel this evening? You know, say it loud, say it clear, sex offenders, welcome here. Please don't clip that later, by the way, because that would absolutely ruin me. It is absolutely beyond belief. The resources now as well, the resources that we would have spent actually not only detaining him, not only going through the trial, but now the resources needing to be spent to clean up this absolute mess. And just one detail that I noticed, I love scrolling through the Your Say bit of GB News, by the way. You're all brilliant on there. Someone made this point that we spent a fortune in court for an interpreter for this person. Didn't need one when he was asking directions to escape, did he? He was absolutely fine when he was like understanding those.
I think rather annoyingly, he managed to very easily find other people who spoke Arabic. So
great. It's just someone in authority, whether it be David Lammy, who has spoken to Shaban and Mahmood, by the way, we're all relieved by that. Yeah. Someone has got to resign over this. If it was the other side, I said this earlier and I'll say it again, if this was the other side, if it was not this government, they would be baying for blood. Someone has got to go.
OK, I want to know how my audience feel about... Yeah, well, I want to know how my audience feel about this. Get your hands up, get a mic. You've got a microphone. Do you want to make a comment on this, sir? Go on. Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick. Just really, it's back to Bill again.
OK.
It's back to the point I made earlier. This guy was charged. He was put away. He was mistakenly let go under an early release scheme, I take it. Well, whatever's happened. But surely they've let him go. Wouldn't he have been tagged in some way as part of an early release scheme? Because they must have gone through some type of process to let this guy out. They don't just give him his clothes and say, right, that's it, you're off. Surely they must have turned around and said to him, well, we've gone through a process, this is this, that's that, but we're going to have to tag you as part of early release scheme to go forward.
Well, go on, Bill. Do you want to come back to this and the general kind of cluster?
The key priority now is to apprehend the guy and get him back in prison and then deport him. And that's what the focus needs to be on. There then needs to be a significant inquiry in how this massive cock-up happened. My understanding, and in a sense I am prejudging it, was a case of mistaken identity. They thought he was a different prisoner to the one he was, and he was therefore eligible for release, when in fact he was going to be taken by the Home Office for deportation. Now, there needs to be searching questions about how and in what way they got that wrong, and if necessary, within Chelmsford Prison, heads need to roll as a result of that. But the immediate priority now for the police, for the authorities, is to find the guy, get him back in prison and then deport him.
He's one of the most high-profile prisoners in Chelmsford Prison, surely. Like,
And it's got to go higher as well, hasn't it?
Well, hold on, and that's the bit that beggars belief.
Yeah.
You know, because even if someone signed off the release, why didn't somebody, when they were actually taking the guy out, recognise him and say, hold on a minute, this isn't right? So there's got to be searching questions.
I want to introduce a guest actually on this, and it is Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jemrick, who is joining us down the line. Robert, thank you very, very much. I know you weren't expecting to do this tonight. So thank you. All right, look, I'm just going to throw it over to you, really. Your reaction to this this Ethiopian man being out and about.
Well, look, this is an absolutely astonishing development. It's a complete disgrace that this individual has been released in this way. It's like a parable for how broken our country is right now, that somebody who was the subject of so much public interest, the protests in Epping, which I went to see and to stand shoulder to shoulder with the mums and the grandmothers and the local residents there, should finally be dragged through the courts, found guilty, and now should have been being deported, but instead, due to this absolutely astonishing failure, is out on the streets of our country, potentially causing harm to our citizens. The Ministry of Justice needs to get a grip, find this individual immediately, and deport them from our country so they never step foot on British soil again.
We've heard briefly from David Lammy. I'll play that clip again a little bit later on. He says that he's livid about this. Does he have to go, do you think?
Well, he's got to find this man. And it is just beggars belief that this has happened. I mean, I cannot understand the level of incompetence that lies behind this. So task 1, get this man. Task 2, get him deported. And then 3, come to Parliament on Monday and explain how this has happened, who is going to be held to account. And if he can't, then, look, David Lammy has to consider his own position. But the task before him at the moment is to find this dangerous man and get him out of our country as quickly as possible.
I mean, like we said, it does really beg a belief. It needs an urgent inquiry as well. And my concern, and a lot of people's concerns, is what message this sends, especially to women and girls, because it's been a catastrophic week for this government when it comes to the grooming gang inquiry. We hear the breaking news before I came on air, Mr. Jemrick, was that there's going to be 9,000 potential grooming gang cases now opened in London alone by the Metropolitan Police. That is, of course, after Sadiq Khan claims to not really know anything about any of them. And now we've got this. I mean, the threat level to women and girls in this country is pretty vast, I think.
It really is. Look, it really is. And it's on so many different levels. But I've always said for years now that the small boats crisis is a national security emergency, that is putting women and girls in our country in serious danger, having so many people coming in, completely undocumented men, often from countries with, frankly, medieval attitudes towards women. At times, I've been pilloried by the left for saying that, but I've always stood by it. It is true, and we've got to fix this. That means detaining and deporting absolutely every migrant who comes here illegally on a small boat or otherwise, so they never walk the streets of our country. And then on issues like the grooming gang said, let's get to the bottom of this. What is happening with this inquiry? It's a disgrace that Starmer was dragged kicking and screaming into having it. And now 4 or 5 months later, nothing is going on. In fact, he's tried to manipulate it, to sabotage it. And he's been called out by the fact that the candidates for the top job and so many of the survivors on the panel have walked away. They've got to get this inquiry up and running so we get justice and some answers for the victims.
All right, Robert, thank you very, very much. Like I said, I know that you're out and about tonight. We're not expecting, well, none of us are expecting this to happen, were we? But thank you, and all the very best. Robert Jeremy there, Shadow Justice Minister. Okay, Connie, I want to come to you on this. So the manhunt is very much still ongoing, of course. You made an interesting point, which I don't think we delved into a little bit earlier on, which is about certain cultural aspects that I know you're very, very keen to discuss. What would you like to say about that, really?
Well, first of all, we're being taken for mugs. Let's not forget that Lucy Connolly got 2.5 years. This man got 12 months. The one has been mistakenly released for a tweet about this very issue, albeit a very horrible tweet, one she deleted and then got 2.5 years in prison for. And we at the Free Speech Union tried to appeal that decision, and we weren't successful because of the messed up way that our system works. But again, you were saying, Christo, about the details of this case. The judge in the sentencing remarks said that he had no remorse. He even tried to claim that it was the 14-year-old girl who instigated it. And he was also asked about his journey from Ethiopia to here, and he didn't want to talk about it. So, which is strange, because if you really wanted to stay in this country and you really had come here, you would really be selling your case. Please don't send me back. I want to be in this country. Although now he said he would rather be deported than be sent to prison. He also said that he thinks our laws are too strict. So this is just an insane, and we, again, know Jess Phillips in particular, she calls herself a feminist. I mean, I don't call myself a feminist because I think people like her tarnish feminism's name. When she was asked on LBC, what do you think about the fact that Afghans are 20 times more likely to commit sexual crimes? And she said, well, there's patriarchy in every country. And I'll tell you who the people are who commit these crimes. They're men, all men. It's always men. And she cannot talk about it. She can't talk about it, and it's to her own detriment. She knows that her seat is hanging on by a thread, so is Wes Streeting, so is multiple other seats. This Labour government are so worried about losing control, which they already have. They don't need to worry about that anymore. It's happening. And I can't imagine being a politician. And I would rather lose my seat and at least say I did what I could. I would rather know that I'm going at the next general election because people who prefer to talk about Gaza are much more interested in those issues than Britain's issues. I don't know how they live, genuinely, I don't know how they can sit there and behave in that way. They're so desperate to cling on to power, but how can you live with yourself doing that?
Well, there's a lot to come back to. I do want to give Bill a really ample opportunity to come back to, because there's obviously quite a lot of criticism of the Labour government flying around at the moment, and also want to bring Jamie in. I'm going to have to go to a quick break, but what I want to do is say this to you. When we come back, I've got a former immigration minister on as well. I do want to hear more from my audience as well, so don't be shy. I know it's a difficult topic to talk about, but you're in a safe space here when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I will replay you what David Lammy had to say to the nation as well. Yes, don't worry, everybody. David Lammy's on the case. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Acquia. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I think solo travel can be really enriching. I think it helps build so many different skills. You have to problem solve, navigate different social interactions. It can be great for building confidence, mental health, resilience, and the interactions you have with people tend to be richer when you're traveling on your own. So I'm all for it. I think it can really help reset the mind and give you that confidence boost for sure.
70% of solo travellers are women. Why do you think that is?
I think in general, post-pandemic, we have seen people prioritising travel. I think because it was taken away from us and restricted for quite a long time, we've seen this general overall trend that people are prioritising travel, spending more on travel. And I think women in particular, in general, we do tend to get pulled in so many different directions. If you're a working mother and a partner, our lives are so hectic, and solo travel, I guess, for women just gives them a chance to have a little bit of a breather, have a little bit of an escape, recharge, and hopefully come back after their trip, you know, in a healthier, more refreshed mindset.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Manhunt is still on for this Ethiopian sex criminal who was just mysteriously released. And by the way, I was having a look in the break there. The Metropolitan Police, despite this manhunt being on, haven't tweeted or said a word. They've not said a word about this. It's now 25 minutes past 10 at night. This guy's been out and about since about midday. The Met Police, not a sausage. Absolutely ridiculous and pathetic. However, remarkably, Justice Minister David Lammy, also the acting Deputy Prime Minister, did do a statement. Here's a bit of it.
Well, I'm appalled and livid on behalf of the public that Kabatu is at large. He should be deported back to Ethiopia after the sexual assaults that he's committed. And of course, there is now a manhunt with Essex Police, the Metropolitan Police and British Transport Police looking for him. We know that he boarded a train and is at large in London. And of course I've asked for a full investigation into what's happened, and an officer has been suspended.
Yeah, the mystery about how on earth this man was able to be out and about is deepening by the minute. Before I go to my audience on this and my panel, I'm joined by former Immigration Minister Tom Purscliffe. Yeah, Tom, thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry, I came to you a bit too quickly there. Thank you very much. OK, so what's your initial reaction to this? This man is still at large.
Well, look, this is a really serious issue, and I think people across the country are going to be exceptionally concerned about this. This is a serious sexual offender who has managed to find their way out into the community today when they should actually be in a detention centre. It was interesting, wasn't it, hearing the Deputy Prime Minister say that he was livid. We're at home absolutely furious. This is completely unacceptable. And he, during my time when I was in the House of Commons and in government, was one of the biggest and most difficult individuals when it came to trying to do anything about these sorts of issues. He was often gratuitous and obstructive and voted against every step that we took to make it easier to try and get rid of individuals like this.
So you actually think in a roundabout way David Lammy and people like him in the Labour Party are ultimately to blame for this?
Well, I think, you touched on it yourself, Patrick, earlier when you said that he was one of these individuals who was consistently signing letters opposing deportations. He voted against all of the measures in the Nationality and Borders Act that were designed specifically to make it easier to remove individuals like this from our country. He was one of the people who very gleefully on day one of this government scrapped the Rwanda scheme, which has just made it 10 times harder to resolve this issue. Because in the end, unless you detain and relocate every last arrival, you're not going to stop this. And this individual in question would not have been able to commit these crimes had that happened. That's precisely what should happen. And the choice in British politics is whether you want to do anything about
things I would like to pick up on there, Tom, is obviously under 14 years of the Conservatives, the small boat crisis was allowed to take root, and they were, put up in hotels. I mean, the only reason this guy got the idea to come across in a small boat was because, tens of thousands of them did do it under your watch.
Well, look, there was undoubtedly in the latter years of our time in office a growing issue around small boat arrivals. It would be ridiculous to claim anything else. But what we've seen under this government is the situation get far worse. The progress that we were making around closing hotels, bringing the numbers of arrivals down, has gone completely the other way. We've got bigger numbers again this year, and that was inevitably going to happen when they scrapped having a deterrent. You need a deterrent on the front end to stop people making the crossings, and then you've got to have a really speedy and effective system at the back end to remove people who arrive. That is not where we are. And there's absolutely no suggestion that we're going to get to that place either.
All right, just quickly, because I want to go to my audience on this. Could you just explain, I don't know if you know, I hope you do know, could you just explain the procedure to me and to everyone about if you are a criminal, migrant, or in this guy's case, asylum seeker, so you're found guilty of something, you're put in prison, and then you are scheduled for deportation. What is the process that happens there? Because we're all trying to figure out how this guy made it back out onto the street.
So what should have happened is that there should be a proper handoff from the prison estate to the immigration authorities, immigration enforcement in the Home Office, into a detention centre. That should happen seamlessly. And so what Chris Philp, for example, is saying tonight, that we need an inquiry to get to the bottom of what has happened here, is absolutely right. But this is an established process. I cannot imagine what has gone wrong here. But one of the things that worries me as well is that David Lammy is tonight saying in defence that this is someone who is going to be deported, we're going to find this individual, we're going to deport them. I wouldn't bank on that at all. And again, I suspect that the law will get in the way, and the fault line, the choice in British politics at the moment is whether you are willing to do whatever it takes in order to be able to remove individuals who've broken the law, and whether you're willing to stop those individuals who've arrived in small boats by returning them, having detained them and sending them immediately.
OK, Tom, thank you for your time this evening. There's Tom Purscliffe there, former Immigration Minister. I want to go to my audience straight away, please, sir. Gentleman at the back here, what would you like to say?
Hi, Patrick. My view is, like, these problems are really quite simple, aren't they? Like, someone's been arrested for 12... He's only got 12 months, by the way. You know, had he tweeted, God forbid what he might have got. He got 12 months. It can't be difficult to actually keep him in prison for that period of time. It seems to me, I've been involved in the criminal justice system for over 30 years. Academia gets involved and it makes everything so complicated. I listened to Bill on the panel. He's the epitome of our political classes at the minute. Bill, with the greatest of respect, you've been involved in universities, you've gone into politics, you've never got your hands dirty, got up in the morning, chased down criminals. We now actually start to see through you. This is why we're all here. We're fed up with your institutions and the way that people like us are being dealt with. Keep things simple, get the right people in the right jobs, and they will do you a really good service. Things need to change.
All right. Thank you very much,
I've got lots of real-life experience, and I've represented people for over 25 years. And I know when people claim things are simple, that's often not the case. But we're dealing with a serious situation here. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with urgently, and we need to catch this guy and put him in prison and then deport him. But I want to come back, Patrick. I am frankly sick to the back teeth of listening to people like Jenrick and Pursglove, representatives of the last Tory government, that let net migration rip to 1 million people a year, completely unsustainable. Jenrick lecturing us about the inquiry. It took the Tories 2 years to establish the J inquiry and to get a chair up and running into broader child sexual abuse questions. And I thought what was really interesting, Patrick, was when you said to Jenrick, should Lammy resign, he declined to do so. Well, he declined to say, yes, he should resign, because the cold, hard political reality of what has happened today is this cock-up could just as easily happened under a Tory government 16 months ago. It's indefensible, it needs to be dealt with, but the idea this is the responsibility of Labour as opposed to the Tories is for the birds.
The thing is, though, Barry, it didn't, did it? It happened under Labour, and if this had happened under the Tory government, you would have been calling for resignations immediately. But you've got some
in these circumstances, I wouldn't have been calling for resignation.
Brass neck. You have got some brass necks sitting there as a representative of the Labour Party when this government has been putting the people of Epping through the courts and trying to stop us closing the hotel that has already been deemed to be unlawfully in use. You have been saying, your government has been saying that the citizens in that hotel, the asylum seekers, so-called illegal migrants, asylum seekers' lives are more important than the lives of the people in this country, by quoting the ECHR. And we all know full well these people will never be deported until we leave the ECHR. This idea that this man is going to be deported, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. And by the way, how's that going at the moment, by the way? How's the deportations going? You've got a huge majority in Parliament. You've got all those MPs. The problem is none of them can agree to do anything because they all can't bear their Prime Minister. You've got no control of the backbenchers, a huge majority in Parliament, and you're not doing anything with it.
Jamie,
and you know,
enough of simplistic sloganising. Enough of simplistic sloganising. Leaving the ECHR would make it more difficult
to keep people in prison that are criminals
from this country.
It's not
difficult. It would be more difficult if we left the ECHR. And the reason the government took legal action over the Epping Hotel is that the alternative was illegal immigrants living in houses of multiple occupation, which would be worse than being in hotels. Yes, we want to remove the hotels, but you need to manage it. What do you mean there's no HMOs?
No empty HMOs.
Yes, there are across the country. And that would be the alternative to the hotels, and you're not dealing with that.
All right. I tell you why, Bill, that I think the problem that you have here is that I think the reason that people have a lack of confidence, and the audience groans when they hear about an inquiry, by the way, we all share your sort of, the thought of an inquiry, is when we were...
You called for the inquiry. How can you groan?
About the grooming gangs inquiry. I'm talking about you saying... No, I'm talking about you saying, we need to learn all the lessons from this escape.
All right, OK,
but one of the things I think that you come a cropper on, Bill, is that when we were talking earlier about Sadiq Khan and these 9,000 new investigations of alleged grooming gang cases in London, and Sadiq Khan sat there saying, what do you mean by grooming gang? You did not condemn him for that. Now, do you not see that if people join up the dots, it looks like Labour are all looking after their own, and that you, in your lack of enthusiasm to condemn Sadiq Khan, and not simply saying, you know what, if these exist, it's awful, I'm going to look into it. He literally gasped Susan Hall.
I'm not Sadiq's greatest fan, right? And I read the transcript of the debate that took place in the London Assembly. Hold on. And it was described by Maggie Oliver that he was stonewalling. She didn't accuse him of lying, it was stonewalling. However, and I think he should have been more upfront about that. However, the reality is the thousands of cases that are being reopened into the grooming gangs is happening because of the change of focus under this government.
OK, but Sadiq Khan was mayor for much longer. If it turns out he knew anything, should he resign?
Well, if he did, then yes.
Great. Well, I think people want to hear that. People want to hear that.
All right, guys, look, I've just to say, talking about Keir Starmer, there was a tweet that he put out saying this: the mistaken release at HMP Chelmsford is totally unacceptable. I'm appalled that it's happened and it's being investigated. We're working urgently to track him down. He cannot call him an asylum seeker. He cannot call him an illegal migrant. When the attack happened at the Manchester Synagogue, he could not call them an Islamist extremist. I think there's a lot to talk about the Prime Minister and whether or not he can even name the problem, and that is when we come back. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the cold weather expected this weekend in the UK, you'll find some sunshine in Italy, but plenty of blustery showers about as well, and some fairly wet weather pushing through parts of Portugal, particularly to the north of Lisbon, into much of Spain, especially to the north, and France will be particularly wet with thundery rain in places. Italy, a few showers, but a gusty wind as well. Plenty of fine weather for Greece, and it stays that way through the weekend and early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening, this is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, there's quite a chill in the air at the moment and there's more cold weather to come as we go into the weekend. Also, a few showers pushing through. That's because we have a cold Arctic maritime air mass piling in from the north. Now, with that, there's also quite a bit of cloud and rain across the eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England at the moment. A lot of that is going to push its way southwards and eventually start to clear away towards the east into the North Sea as we go through the night. Elsewhere, some drier, at times clearer weather, but like I said, quite a few showers piling down on that northerly wind. Where we get some clear skies and in shelter from the brisk wind across parts of Scotland, we could see temperatures dipping close to, perhaps even a little bit below freezing. Elsewhere, because of the brisk winds, temperatures not dropping too low, but nonetheless a cold start to the day for many tomorrow. Plenty of showers piling in across northern parts of Scotland. When these reach higher ground, a good chance that we're going to see some sleet and snow over the peaks in particular. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, it's a showery start to the day. Also showers across parts of Wales and southwest England. Across more central parts of England, it's largely dry, some early sunshine as well. Across eastern parts, though, a bit cloudier and it could be a bit damp first thing too. The rain, though, will clear away towards the east, and then we end up in, well, a bit of a showery setup in areas exposed to that northerly wind. So northern Scotland, Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and southwest England. Plenty of showers here, and they could still be wintry over the high ground of Scotland. Elsewhere, drier, sunnier, but feeling cold, especially in the wind. Could see gales in some exposed eastern coastal parts. Then a cold night as we go through into Sunday, so a bit of frost for some. And then it gets off to a fine start on Sunday, but we are going to see cloud pushing in from the northwest, and it's going to turn wet and blustery as well. Now into next week, it's looking quite mixed, so some rain at times, but also some dry weather and temperatures rising eventually as we go towards the end of the week. Bye-bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And I would just like to say a massive thank you to my live studio audience. We've got people coming from Morecambe, from Newcastle, Swindon. Where else have we got someone from as well? Swansea, yeah, Swansea, good stuff. So thank you very much. A lot of people go to a lot of effort to be here. And it's a big news night for it. I mean, it's going to be dominating front pages in my next show. This, as you can see, the one in, one out by mistake fiasco, this Ethiopian man who is still remarkably at large. You've not heard anything from the Metropolitan Police, convicted sex offender who's still on the run. But there is another story that's knocking around tonight that I think is linked to it when it comes to the protection or lack of women and girls, and also Labour Party's failures of it. There is a clip that I would like to play you of Sadiq Khan versus Susan Hall. I think we all know this clip now, but there's a reason why I want to regurgitate it again tonight. Have we got it? Let's play it.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
OK, Sadiq Khan there, you know, obfuscating about grooming gangs. There are other interviews during it where he says, are you only asking me this because I'm an ethnic minority, trying to, basically, I'll just say it, play the race card about it. And he claimed that there was no grooming gangs like we've had in Rotherham or Rochdale. Today, the breaking news again is this. The Metropolitan Police is going to re-examine 9,000 cases of child exploitation as part of a major review into grooming gangs in London. And just to say as well, I get that London is obviously the biggest city, but if those numbers are anything like the reality, that would make it by far and away the biggest grooming gang hotspot of anywhere in the country, anywhere. And Sadiq Khan to come out and say he doesn't seem to know anything about that, that surely that's a resigning matter.
Why has it taken this? You know, I just think he's the most repellent stain on London, that man. He really is. Because why has it taken this? Why wouldn't he, as someone who has been London Mayor now for what, it's 12 years, is it now, that he's been London Mayor? So once you knew the cover-ups that have taken place across the UK and the abject failure of working-class white girls, mainly, and of course he knows that's not the demographic he cares about. But if you'd heard about that, why wouldn't you proactively, as someone who has the role of Met Commissioner as well, why wouldn't you say, right, OK, do you know what, I'm going to proactively look into whether this is a problem that is affecting London? And I know why, and you know why, because he's scared that it would affect his own position and the people who are most likely to vote for him. He is the most awful man. He really is.
The other aspect to this is the Metropolitan Police head, Sir Mark Rowley, who is on record saying, when he was asked about grooming gangs, I can't comment on things I haven't seen. That's the quote. I can't comment on things I haven't seen. Tonight, the head of the Metropolitan Police, Sir Mark Rowley, writes a letter to Sadiq Khan and telling him that he's going to look at child exploitation cases dating back to the last 15 years. So they've just emerged, they've just come across your desk this evening, have they, Sir Mark? It's remarkable, Connie. I mean, your views on this?
I think a theme throughout all of these cases is that woke ideology is a threat to women and everyone from all angles, whether it's trans or this. The reason why Sadiq Khan's behaviour is exactly why it's gone ignored and covered up for so many years. The fact that he said he had the nerve to say, are you only asking me that? And the person asking him have said, no, I'm asking you because you're the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so crucial that we resist this Islamophobia definition, which in 2018 the Labour Party and many other political parties adopted an Islamophobia definition which said it was said that Islamophobia was rooted in racism, and to talk about Pakistani Muslim men being disproportionately the offenders in these grooming gangs was Islamophobic and therefore by consequence racist. And we need to root this out, because if we continue like this, we're already seeing it with the grooming gang inquiry. Jess Phillips claiming that they haven't tried to expand it when we've seen concrete evidence that the survivors were asked whether it should be expanded, and they included non-gang grooming victims. So this whole plague, this whole rot is so deep that if we don't... I mean, the Labour Party, I don't understand why Keir Starmer... He can't possibly stand by him. He should be forced to apologise, at least, and at best resign.
To Susan Hall. He should be forced to apologise to Susan Hall.
And to the victims.
Yeah.
He should be... Sadiq Khan should be forced to sit in front of the panels of people like Fiona Goddard and listen to what happened to them. And then, eventually, he will have to speak to these victims in London.
First of all, the Mayor of London, and he says, any individuals or gangs exploiting children for sex are utterly abhorrent. Sadiq is quite clear that they must face the full force of the law. These children have not only suffered terrible abuse in the hands of perpetrators, but have been woefully let down by the authorities meant to protect them from harm. That's their comments there. We're going to go now. When we come back, we'll do Greatest Britain Union, Jackass as well. Lots of audience participation for that. So, yeah, stay tuned, everybody. Thank you.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Some schools are banning birthday cakes from the classroom.
Yeah, banning parents from sports. And now the great headline in the Telegraph, Labour puts the knife into nursery birthday cake. Apparently, new guidelines for the Department of Education are saying that you should not send your child into school with a cake when it's their birthday, because it's bad for them, it's going to make them fat, all the rest of this stuff. It's the nanny state once again on the march, isn't it?
Is this a new thing? Because I don't remember ever taking a birthday cake.
yeah, we
on my
did
birthday.
for my
Yeah, we
boys.
did too.
Took a birthday cake.
And I think some schools I've seen that have a fake birthday cake, which is not nearly as nice, with a fake cake with a candle on, so you sing happy birthday and blow out the candle. But, you know, I love the way Jacob Rees-Mogg...
yes.
European GB News presenter has waded into this row saying, well, my children's nanny sends little cakes into school for all the children.
Absolutely.
He said
The
only...
nanny sends them
the
in.
nanny sends them in. Only
Nanny's trained to
socialists...
know what is acceptable and what isn't.
He says only socialists want to stop such innocent pleasures. And I think there's a real point about that. One school, actually, Broxburn Primary in Harrow, is saying, don't send your child in with a cake. Donate a book to the school library instead. I mean, that is just not a good substitute, is it?
Cakes?
No, my kids are 1 and 3, so they're not quite at that age yet. But
It'll happen.
It does it. But I mean, it should, because
It doesn't have to be a big splodgy cake. It can just be something.
But even if it's a bit of a treat, there's no way the calories of school birthday cake are the calories
make a
making
difference.
people fat.
No.
So we should focus on the big issues rather than ruining this fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a killjoy. I think kids should have a bit of fun. I just didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah,
it's all changed since my day.
I think maybe it's the teachers who don't like the sugar rush the kids get afterwards, and they can't keep control in the classroom.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Everybody. Now, I know it's been a particularly heavy show. In case you're wondering, no, we've not caught the Ethiopian jab yet, so we'll be talking about that more later.
I'm annoyed.
I'm shocked.
Can I tell you why I'm annoyed tonight? When you told me it was going to be a Manhunt special, I don't know. I couldn't have been more excited to come in, and none of that.
Wait till I tell you that they're taking the knee again this weekend, Christys. But anyway, right, okay.
Frankie Howard lives, doesn't he?
Let's go to Greatest Britain Union Jackass. A little bit of light relief to end the show on, I think. So can we start with Greatest Britain, starting with you, please, Jamie?
My Greatest Britain, because of this week, is Richard Tice, because he's just been appointed head of UK Doge, and he's going to take on the blob, and my God, are we lucky he's going to do it.
Right. There you go. I'll put you in the studio. Go on, Christys.
Okay, I've gone because I'm obsessed with this show, and I only watch it when I'm not watching you, obviously, and that is The Celebrity Traitors, because I love Alan Carr. I think he's brilliant on it. He's so good, and he's hilarious. And I suspect behind closed doors, he's not as woke as some of those other celebrities as well.
Oh, really?
I suspect. I don't know.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that in the break. OK, so, Connie, who's your Greatest Britain?
Michael Ben-Gad, who's the Israeli professor at London City University, who has been at the on the brunt end of the most horrific protests and harassment from students there, and he's been offered paid leave so that whilst to let things die down, he said no, he's not going to give in to these anti-Semitic Islamist tendencies. Universities are not just woke indoctrination centres anymore. They are literally harbouring Islamist ideology, sympathies. It's very, very scary.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Yeah, absolutely. And you obviously found out to your own.
Yes. If you call a man, you get threatened with expulsion. But if you're a student at Leeds and you run around saying "Long live the Intifada," that's
fine. And those are
Which
the rules.
is what they did on October 7th this year. Students at Leeds went to the main steps. The University of Leeds has the highest proportion of Jewish students in the whole of the country.
OK.
And it's
terrible. Bill, go on, Greatest Britain, please.
I'm hopefully going to lighten the mood. My Greatest Britain is Claudia Winkleman. My secret Saturday night pleasure is Strictly Come Dancing. She's now the rave presenter of the rave chit show Traitors, and yet despite a lifelong chronic eye condition, she's become, I think, a national treasure. She's warming, she's uplifting, she's my Greatest Britain.
All right, well, there you go. Shall we do a little bit on this? So Richard Tice, as a point of yeah. Alan Carr. Ben-Gad, the professor there. Claudia Winkleman. No, okay. You follow. It's a tough one to follow, was it? Well, all right. Vanguard is the winner.
Yeah, but sorry, you are the winner. Congratulations. But I do think we should have a little nod as well to those people who didn't make Union Jackets tonight, who did put forward the letters and say that they were standing down from the grooming gangs. I think that they actually also deserve a little nod tonight.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. Absolutely. I don't know if we've actually got time to do the Union Jackass now. I don't think. Okay, very quickly. Go on, very quickly.
Very obvious. Jess Phillips making the grooming gangs about her.
All right.
OK, you've seen the video. Sadiq Khan.
Sadiq Khan, very quickly.
Keir Starmer for saying that digital IDs will make it easier to buy houses.
OK, go on.
Kemi Badenoch over the China spy trial, because the evidence has come out today explicitly that the non-designation as China as an enemy state happened under the last Tory government.
OK, all right. Just shout a name at me. All of Thank you, everybody. If you want to be a part of this show, the link is on your screens right now. I've got another hour because we've got to do all the front pages. So there we go. Take it easy. See you in a bit. All right.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, this is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, there's quite a chill in the air at the moment and there's more cold weather to come as we go into the weekend. Also, a few showers pushing through. That's because we have a cold Arctic maritime air mass piling in from the north. Now, with that, there's also quite a bit of cloud and rain across the eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England at the moment. A lot of that is going to push its way southwards and eventually start to clear away towards the east into the North Sea as we go through the night. Elsewhere, some drier, at times clearer weather, but like I said, quite a few showers piling down on that northerly wind. Where we get some clear skies and in shelter from the brisk wind across parts of Scotland, we could see temperatures dipping close to, perhaps even a little bit below freezing. Elsewhere, because of the brisk winds, temperatures not dropping too low, but nonetheless a cold start to the day for many tomorrow. Plenty of showers piling in across northern parts of Scotland. When these reach higher ground, a good chance that we're going to see some sleet and snow over the peaks in particular. Meanwhile, across Northern Ireland, it's a showery start to the day. Also showers across parts of Wales and southwest England. Across more central parts of England, it's largely dry. Some early sunshine as well. Across eastern parts, though, a bit cloudier and it could be a bit damp first thing too. The rain, though, will clear away towards the east, and then we end up in, well, a bit of a showery setup in areas exposed to that northerly wind. So northern Scotland, Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and southwest England. Plenty of showers here, and they could still be wintry over the high ground of Scotland. Elsewhere, drier, sunnier, but feeling cold, especially in the wind. Could see gales in some exposed eastern coastal parts. Then a cold night as we go through into Sunday, so a bit of frost for some. And then it gets off to a fine start on Sunday, but we are going to see cloud pushing in from the northwest, and it's going to turn wet and blustery as well. Now into next week, it's looking quite mixed, so some rain at times, but also some dry weather and temperatures rising eventually as we go towards the end of the week. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps four, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7.